A college girl is sitting in class when she receives a message asking how she is getting home. She replies that she plans to take the bus, but the person sends another message asking why she doesn't check the ride board. After class, she goes to the bulletin board and sees a note asking if anyone wanted a ride to Delaware on the 23rd of December. So she decides she no longer wants to take the bus. Then she walks to the parking lot where she finds a guy sleeping in his car. However, she becomes quite frustrated when he parks far from the entrance. The trunk is too full for her luggage, but she manages to squeeze her suitcase inside the car. She tries to get into the car, but he says that sometimes the door gets stuck. Then he manages to open it for her, and they start the trip. Along the way, she talks on the phone. The girl is talking on the phone with her friend, but the guy in the car is getting annoyed. She tells her friend that she's bored and there are still 5 hours to go. She takes a photo of him and asks why he looks frustrated. He replies that there is a rule on road trips. The passenger should talk to the driver to keep things lively. But she is not in the mood for a conversation, so she asks him what school he went to. He says he attended a Catholic all-boys school, but now he has studied with her. But she says she doesn't remember him because there were too many people in the class. Then he explains what year it was. They continue to chat, and he asks why she chose to major in philosophy. Then she explains that it seemed easier to get into, but she really wanted to be an engineer. The guy starts a boring story about philosophy, so she decides to end the conversation. She plays some music, and they continue driving. While she is painting her nails, she mentions that she needs to go to the bathroom, and he tells her not to worry, as there is a local gas station just ahead. Then he starts another strange topic about how eye surgeries are done, and she says they are laser-based. The guy asks how her vision is. The girl explains that she plans to get it done in the summer. The guy mentions that glasses look good on her, and she is confused about how he knows she wears them since she only puts them on in her dorm. Silence takes over. Then he changes the subject. Then they arrive at a gas station and stop the car. He mentions that she had said she needed to go to the bathroom. Then the girl says she can't get out of the car because her nails are freshly painted and the polish hasn't dried yet. The guy offers to help her out. Then he takes her to the store. They enter the store, and the girl asks the man if there is a bathroom, and he points, saying it is right there. The girl goes to the bathroom, enters, and does what she has to do, but afterward, she can't open the door. She calls for help, but no one comes. Finally, she hears a guy's voice and says that she is trapped inside. After some attempts, she finally manages to open the door. She asks the guy why he didn't come when she called, but he says he didn't hear her. The store clerk tells the guy not to forget that he needs to drive on the highway. So, he tells her not to worry because he has passed by there a million times. Then they leave the store. The girl offers to split the gas costs, but the guy declines her offer. They are driving when the guy sees a highway sign, but suddenly he veers off the road. The girl asks why he deviated from the path. She asks if it was supposed to be funny or something. She begins to panic and tells him to get back on the main road, but he reassures her, saying it is just a nice shortcut. They pass by some crosses in the snow, but they keep driving deeper into the woods. He puts on a Christmas song and starts talking about his holiday traditions. He shares how he celebrates Christmas with his parents. The girl mentions that she actually celebrates Christmas twice, once with her dad and once with her mom, who separated when she was still a freshman. As they talk, he begins to realize that she is a little strange, so they start to argue, but another car is coming in the same direction as they are. The headlights of the car are very bright, and they nearly crash head-on, but he manages to swerve in time and veer off the road. The crash seems to have been hard, and they end up passing out. Some time passes, and the girl wakes up. She gently takes a knife from her bag and exits the car. She tries to call her friend, but suddenly the guy appears behind her, startling her. He asks what she is doing. She responds that she is calling for help. She says that she has no signal and asks for his phone, but he says he doesn't have one. She seems concerned about him and then asks if he is okay. He says he seems fine, that he just hit his head a bit hard. He asks about the other car that was supposed to find them. The girl thinks that the other driver must have left, but the guy notices that there are no tire tracks on the road. He tries to call for help, but no one can hear them. Then he says that they need to get back to the car to try to get out of there. He decides to look around and find some gravestones. The girl is sitting in the driver's seat while the guy tries to push the car, but they are stuck in a snowbank and can't get out. She locks the doors and starts blaming him, saying it is all his fault. She says that he doesn't even live near her, that he is acting like a maniac. They start arguing, and he insists that it is not his fault, and that he is not crazy. He says he will go back to the gas station, saying he will go back and ask for help, and that everything will be fine, and asks her to come with him, but she is too scared of him and decides to stay in the car. Then he leaves and decides to take a shortcut through the woods. Meanwhile, the girl finds some tape in the car and begins to cover the window. While trying to seal the car window, she suddenly spots a man walking in the snow. Determined to ask for help, she gets out of the car, but he ignores her and continues on his way, disappearing into the woods. She starts to panic and tells herself to calm down. He asks her to calm down. Then, she mentions that she saw a man on the road, but the guy says that they need to get back in the car because the gas station is closed. Then she thinks it's suspicious and asks what is going on because the gas station should be open 24 hours a day. And he says he doesn't know what is going on. She says she won't get back in the car with him and calls him a maniac. She doesn't believe him and doesn't want to return to the car with him, but she has no other choice. Time is passing. She looks at the clock in the car and says it's stopped. He replies that it is broken, and the girl points at him, saying that he is bleeding. Ignoring the situation, he simply insists that it's nothing. Then, she asks who he really is, and he replies that he is just a regular student. He confesses that he lives on the other side of town and that he just wanted to give a ride to a pretty girl. He heard from her friends where she lived and what she used to do. She asks how he knew she would need a ride. Then we see that, during class, he noticed a message appear on her phone and realized it was his chance to talk to her. As soon as she discovers the truth, she begins to relax a bit. The guy suggests that they eat something, but the girl realizes that she left a bag of food in the parking lot. He suddenly remembers that he left a chocolate bar under the seat. While he searches for the chocolate bar, he starts yelling desperately, and the girl gets worried. Then, he reveals that it was just a joke. They continue to argue and insult each other when, out of nowhere, the car's engine starts making noise and eventually dies. The girl grabs a flashlight and checks under the car, only to find that all the gas has leaked out. The temperature begins to drop rapidly. The guy takes the girl's things and tries to offer her some clothes, but of course, there is nothing that can keep them warm from her bag. The girl says that she wasn't prepared to get stuck in a snowbank. They start to freeze. Then, he says that human warmth can keep them warm, but she disagrees with that. After a while, she says that she needs to pee. She gets out of the car and walks behind it. When she finishes peeing, she gets startled by 3 priests passing by her. The man looks at her but continues walking. She runs back to the car and tells the guy what she saw. They run after them, shouting for help. They stop, and she is panicking, suggesting going back to the car because those people noticed her and didn't stop. She returns to the car, but the guy continues chasing them. Then he starts coughing and sees blood. The guy goes a little further and finds an old abandoned house. He enters and finds an old newspaper lying on the floor. He grabs the newspaper, but then walks a bit further. He sees a pile of frozen bodies in the house and is in shock, then runs back out. But when he looks back, all the bodies have disappeared. Meanwhile, the girl sees a man on the road. She gets out of the car and asks for help, while the man begs the officer not to throw him in the water. Desperate, she runs after him and notices a wire tied around the man's legs, asking who did that, but he continues mumbling and she can't hear. As she gets closer, she tries to touch him and ends up getting burned. At that moment, he turns around, revealing a snake coming out of his mouth. In shock, as she backs away, she bumps into 2 bloodied men. The young man runs back, finds her lying down, and asks what happened. She replies that there was a man there with something on his face. He takes the girl to the car, and they cover the windows with a newspaper they found. They end up hugging to keep warm. The guy is feeling much more confident now. A few hours later, someone knocks on the car door. It's a police officer. He asks what they are doing there. She replies that a man ran them off the road. The officer thinks they are just a couple making out. He says he will let them go with a fine. The girl thinks this is a scam, and that the officer and the other driver are just trying to extort money from them. She tries to offer a bribe, but the officer isn't interested in money. He tells her that this stretch of road is quite bad, and that many lonely young people often get into accidents. He invites her to get into his car, and the tension begins to mount. Then, strangely, he shouts, telling her that she isn't going anywhere. The girl sees another guy on the hill and the officer tells her to get in the car. She begins to beg him to leave them alone, but the officer continues approaching. Then, out of nowhere, the guy hits the officer with a piece of metal, and suddenly they find themselves in the car. The guy's hands are stuck on the metal bar, and the girl tells him to warm his hands. He asks what happened, and she replies that they were there, and suddenly they were in the car, while the officer had vanished like a ghost. As he warms his hands on her belly, they start thinking about tasty foods. The girl asks the guy what was in the shopping bag he bought at the gas station convenience store, curious to know what foods were there. She said she wanted a last meal before dying. She began to get really upset and started crying, but the guy reassured her, saying that morning would come soon and that someone would pass by, ensuring that they would definitely be found. The girl says she has some pills in her bag and goes to look. Then he takes some pills. Then she sticks a newspaper on the window and notices some familiar faces in a photo showing an accident that happened on that road in 1963, where a couple died. There was also a police officer in the other car, and he also died. A group of priests was the first to appear at the accident scene, but couldn't help the couple. She then says that they need to take turns keeping watch. Then she said she would go first and asked him to sleep for a bit. After a while, the newspaper comes loose from the window again, and suddenly the radio turns on by itself, and the officer suddenly breaks the window. In a flashback scene, we see how a police officer caused several accidents on the road and kidnapped young women. The guy wakes up and realizes that the girl is breathing heavily, so he tries to wake her up. Then the radio music starts playing again, and a patrol car appears on the road. The cold air starts coming into the car through the car's air vents, and the guy tries to block the vents. He blocks the vents with his body to protect the girl, who wakes up about an hour later. The couple is still in the car and starts hearing noises. The car soon begins to rock, making the couple even more anxious. The noise soon stops, and he says that they have to stay until morning, saying that they are safe in the car. Then, 4 hours later, it seems that the guy is really sick and unwell. He is doing his best to talk to her and lift her spirits. She wants to find some pills for him, but ends up discovering a bloody urine bottle. She asks if he hurt himself so badly in the accident, and he says he has been coughing up blood for a while and that he hurt himself inside during the accident. She wants to go to the gas station to ask for help, but he warns that it is very dangerous. Then, she moves closer to him with her new plan. She wants to connect a phone he has in the car to the radio tower and call the police before leaving. The guy says that he wouldn't mind if the afterlife just started over and over again, but next time he would change one thing. He would just approach her after class and say hi. Then she says that would be better. Then the girl kisses him and leaves. She quickly climbs the tower and connects the phone. She manages to call the rescue service and send the message, but the connection is so bad that she is not sure if the message got through. She returns to the car and discovers that her travel companion is already dead. As she drags her friend's body out, she sees a car approaching and panics, thinking it's the crazy officer again. This time, rescue finally arrives. While they are driving, the man starts telling the story of that place, starting by saying that there have been many terrible accidents there. A long time ago, a corrupt officer stopped young people on that road and killed them, but one day he got into an accident and burned with his car. After that incident, people started dying there. A family was found frozen to death. The girl asks what happened to the priests. They were all found frozen in their beds. Another car appears on the road ahead, and the radio starts playing the same music. The girl immediately understands that it is the crazy officer's car. The guy and the girl survive, but the guy wants to check if the other driver is alive. The girl gets out of the car and realizes that they have returned to the same place they departed from. She tries to stop the guy, warning him of the danger, but he keeps going down. The girl says they don't need to help him because he is already dead, but the other police officer says that they need to help him too. Then the priests approach the officer and rip the radio out of the car. They leave while the man begs for help, saying not to judge a poor sinful soul while the car catches fire. But the spirit of the police officer emerges from the car and grabs the other police officer. He soon turns to ice. The girl runs to the car and tries to start it, but the officer catches up with her. He tries to grab her, but her travel companion emerges from the woods and saves her. The girl wakes up in the car with her friend's dead body. Soon morning comes, and the girl notices the ghost of her friend outside. He asks for forgiveness for leaving without saying goodbye, and she, Understanding also apologizes for leaving him alone in the car. He says everything will be all right and takes her to the woods. The girl walks through the snowy woods to a gas station. Doctors and rescuers arrive. The girl receives first aid and watches as her dead friend's body is taken away. She picks up the phone and looks at the photo of the man who saved her, and the film ends with our only survivor.